I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Marni Carmichael on the line, and she's Director of Product Marketing over at ImageSource. Marni, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So digital transformation, what that means to you. I mean, I know you got a lot to share based on your background, but before we do that, let's get into what you're doing over at ImageSource. So first, just give myself and the audience a little bit of an overview on the company and what you do.
Okay, so ImageSource is a privately held company and our headquarters are in Olympia, Washington, and I work remotely from Southern California. We work with businesses, state and local governments, Fortune 500 companies to automate business processes, connect business systems, and secure and make their data compliant. And ImageSource, we have a technology platform called iLinks that delivers those components to solve those business problems and enable those workflows.
That's awesome. And just so that as we kind of go through the conversation and people that are listening to think whether or not that ImageSource would be a right fit for them, what kind of clients does ImageSource normally take on? So what's the right type of company and fit?
Well, I think it's mostly digital transformation solutions can be very horizontal. So a lot of times it's a line of business solution that's connecting to maybe silos of data or to siloed workflows. So we have companies or customers ranging from King County, Washington to Experian, really across the board. Smile Brand, Suzuki, we have a fairly robust portfolio of customer types.
Awesome. I think that's also a great transition, Marni. Let's get into today's topic. So digital transformation. Now, where do you want to begin with this story?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about how I have been working in digital transformation for the bulk of my career. Obviously, I didn't know that that's how it would, hindsight's 2020. Mm-hmm. So now I can see what I've been working on. But a lot of the technology that I started in was very much based on kind of releasing the data trapped in paper and enabling the business intelligence that was trapped on a piece of paper or a document. And so I worked for many years for companies that automated those paper processes and converting that information to data. And what's happened as technology has evolved and improved and, consumers have much more access to very high-end technology, all of those desires and expectations kind of get pushed into business processes. So I've seen over time what organizations do and what technology does is gets closer and closer to the source of the data. So if the data used to be trapped on a piece of paper, maybe 10 years ago, companies started transforming that paper into a PDF or more of an electronic container of data. And now even that seems very old-fashioned and obsolete, and we work to help individuals and companies enable data from its origin, whether that's like with a knowledge worker, someone like you or I, making decisions on information, or capturing that information like where your customer really engages with your business. So if your customer is visiting your website, or if a customer is or a constituent is enabling a process like licensing a gun registration, becoming a licensed accountant, applying for a tax refund in your state, we can put that form and that interaction exactly where your customer is, collect that data, automate it, secure it, and then drive it through all the other business systems that require that information to make decisions. And we can automate that decision making too. So maybe you want your employees to really just focus on exception handling. Maybe you want to put some very sophisticated RPA or AI technology in there to help individual employees make educated decisions and informed decisions on data. Or maybe you just want to push everything into a repository and secure it and save it, and then when somebody asks for it, enable them finding it. So we really have a lot of deep expertise in helping organizations connect business systems. We have found that organizations departmentally have made decisions over time, and now they have so many silos of data, and our technology platform, iLinks, enables them to connect those silos and add workflow on top of that, and then secure their data and make the data compliant.
So you've been in the industry for quite some time now, going all the way back, like you said, to when PDFs was the newest thing, right? So what excites you about either what's going on right now or what you see on the horizon in terms of what's next in this data management field?
I think that really technology is becoming so much more accessible. A lot of technologists who've been in this space for a long period of time get a little maybe self-righteous and saying, well, AI is just OCR. It's just technology that's been around for a long time, and people are rebranding it and charging more for it. And, it's easy to think about it that way, but really what I see is that technology has gotten to the point where it's really applicable to solving business problems. It's no longer a specialty or a niche. It's something that you can sit down with a business decision maker and show them how it will automate, 90% of their business processes, how it will eliminate that manual labor from their very skilled staff and allow them to repurpose that staff to meet their corporate objectives or their organization's goals. So for me, the most exciting part is the technology has gotten very solid, it's very useful, and the way it's been stretched and pulled and applied, especially in the last 3 to 4 years when digital transformation and we hear about AI and RPA all the time, it's really made it work. And that's pretty exciting. I think that stuff's only going to get better and better. One of the stories that I kind of often tell is as a consumer or a technologist, you might hear about AI for cancer research, or you might hear about RPA for, when I think about RPA, sometimes I picture a robot arm, in a medical device. And that's the tip of the iceberg. Maybe 10% of technology buyers need something that sophisticated. And we really get to focus on what's below that waterline and make it applicable to companies who need automation to make their staff more useful, to make their engagement with their customers or more useful. We worked extensively with a healthcare company, a home healthcare company called VITAS, and they provide, hospice care to families or palliative care to patients. And they tell such a lovely story about how the automation we provide to capture medical documents from a mobile workforce enables them to make more eyeball-to-eyeball contact with patients and support families in those difficult transition periods. So that's the kind of stuff that's exciting to me, is that the technology becomes more accessible and we can tell better stories about how useful it is and how it benefits individuals.
That's awesome. And so, Marni, can you give an example of automation, maybe in a company that you work with or otherwise? You don't have to say the name, but just to give the listener, sometimes when we talk high level on automation or an AI, it's kind of still this foggy thing for people that haven't used it or hired a company to do it. And I've just heard these amazing case studies and things of where even simple processes and data points made significant differences to these companies. Can you give an example of something that you worked on or something that you saw that was kind of interesting to you that really helped a client in terms of business automation and processes?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about home health care. A couple of examples come to mind, the ones that, I connect to probably more personally or kind of pull at those empathy strings a little bit. But the home health care use case is really, previously they would have nurses go to an individual's home and provide care in that home. That nurse may have, they have all the same medical forms that are required when a healthy person goes to the doctor. So, all of your background, your test results, whatever information the nurse is going to need to share with a doctor in the near future. And they would spend time with the patient filling out the paper form on site. Best case scenario, they're spending that time with the patient and then transcribing the information onto the form for the patient. Worst case is they take the information, they keep the information in their head, and then they get in their car and they sit in their car and fill out the forms. Now, medical forms are heavily regulated to protect patient privacy. So big problem, having medical forms sit in a healthcare worker's car. It's also just from the healthcare worker's perspective, that's unpaid man hours too. Now they're sitting in their car charting, and they're usually off the clock doing that kind of stuff. So there's not a lot of good morale in that practice. And I had seen solutions previously where a company might give that healthcare worker a small scanner. So they'd still go to their car with a laptop and plug in a mobile scanner and fill out the paper and scan it. And what ImageSource with our iLinks platform was able to do, working with this healthcare company, they decided to issue their nurses a mobile device, an iPhone, a work iPhone. I have a work iPhone and a personal iPhone. And on that iPhone, they can log in, they can download an iLinks app from the App Store. And all the business rules that the corporate IT staff has decided are appropriate for these medical documents are now the healthcare workers engaging with them on their device. And the healthcare worker picks the patient ID number and the kind of document that's appropriate for that patient, and they fill out the vital information on the device. They can do that eyeball to eyeball with the patient. That makes it very accurate, but the patient isn't interacting with paper, and it's a little bit dehumanizing in some of those environments. So they leave the patient's home, and the case is ready for the next person who comes into that patient's home immediately. Somebody might come back in 4 hours and may not be the same healthcare professional. Somebody may come back in 4 days. All that information is accessible to anyone who needs it to serve that patient best. The other thing that benefited the company is that you have a very short window of time to bill for healthcare services, or the organization doesn't get paid. So this enabled them to manage their revenue cycle more successfully too, and schedule their staff more successfully. They were able to grow their business with all confidence that the workload supported the staff they were bringing on. So they saw really a normalization in staffing, not big spikes of hiring and reducing hours and those kind of things. So that case is especially interesting to me. We had the gentleman from that organization speak at one of our users events last week, and he shows this great video of music therapy that they give. And when he told the story about it, he said, a patient's family paid for that promotional video because they were so moved by the kind of care that we offered. And he just told the story very clearly that we couldn't offer that care if we didn't automate our business processes. So I think that's that's a great story.
Amazing. You're correct, and that is the first AI story I've heard that pulled at my heartstrings too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh, that's so nice. See, that's what I wanted from you. Thank you.
Cool.
So, Marni, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on ImageSource or to connect, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, you can certainly go to imagesourceinc.com, ilinks.com. We have 2 sites. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Marni Carmichael, Marni, or on Instagram as Marni Carmi, Carmi. But I'd love to interact with more of your audience and your participants. It's cool to get these little bites of what's working for people in their roles and in their markets.
Love it. Well, hey, Marni, I could talk to you about this all day long, but we're about out of time. So that being said, really appreciate you coming on the show today. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, subscribe to that and leave us some comments on the video. Let us know what you thought about today's discussion, anything else that you got to add to it. Love to keep the conversation going on the YouTube community. And Marni, thanks again for coming on the show.